FM. Today is Monday, 16th of June. And of course, this is Constitution Day, but there are so many things that are happening in our country. I was listening to another talk show host before coming this way, and he was discussing the political problems in the country. And of course, he had a guest on with him, and they were concerned about what is going on in the country. We seem to be spinning wheels. We seem to be in a deep hole and not going anywhere, and some people seem to be afraid. And I think those who are afraid, because I got a few emails on that, and let me just say that people do not understand what is available to them, what they have in their hand. You see the thousands of tourists that are out there on Bay Street coming into Fort Fincastle. You know, Fort Fincastle will be hit first because we are right next to Bay Street. And so you have thousands of them coming into that area. And let's pray that they will be safe. We don't want anything happening to tourists, nor even to residents in the community. And so as summer moves on, we're going to see a flood of tourists coming into the country. And we're being told how long it takes people to save to come to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And those of us who were born here and who are Bahamians, not everyone born in the Bahamas is a Bahamian, so let's get that point straight. Those who are genuine Bahamians in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas seem to have a lesser appreciation for what it is that we have in our country. We need to be thankful and grateful for the tremendous blessings that God has allowed us to have. We have to see what God has put in our hand. Our leaders, our political leaders have to see it. And if they don't see it, Bahamians, you have to point it out to them. Because we, the electorate, elects these people, and some are appointed, of course, to do the national business of the Bahamian people. But for 52 years, we basically have sat back and allowed those individuals who were elected and appointed to do their own thing. And we don't correct them when they go off course. And most of you still, and I'm happy to know that a lot of you are beginning to look at the Constitution and take it more seriously. That is a step in the right direction. Now, remember what I said from July the 8th of last year? I said to every single Bahamian, by way of this radio station, select one major constituency problem in your constituency that could be solved in 18 months. It is possible, whichever one you pick, we can have it done in 18 months. Finished, no more problems with that particular issue. And then you can move on to deal with the others. By having good, strong parliamentary representation, not a particular personality sitting in the parliamentary seat and not performing parliamentary representation. That is a major problem in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You have party personalities sitting in parliamentary seats. The seats don't belong to the political body. We seem always to forget that. It's not this party seat or that party seat. Those seats do not have those kind of labels on them. But we have allowed others to deceive and mislead us to think that the seat belongs to a particular political body. And so we've been brainwashed into thinking that way. And we do not take seriously our job to carefully select the right person to sit in that seat. So from last July the 8th, I said to you, you need a righteous team. And this particular host was saying we need righteousness in this country. I was surprised when he said it. What is it that we are doing now, Bahamians, that is causing all of these issues, all of these problems? Do you know one political party next year would have been in the House of Assembly and in the Senate for 70 years? 70 consecutive years, that particular party has had representation, unbroken representation in the Senate and in the House of Assembly. 70 years, Bahamian. You gave it to them. And when they came to power, they had landslides of seats every single time, except once at the very beginning. And then after that, when there was that by-election, everything just bust forth until in 1992 when they lost. So they had every available opportunity to solve every single constituency problem, every single national problem. You know that, Bahamian? 70 years is a long time. How much more time do you want to give people what they have not done in 70 years? You need to think about that, Bahamians. 70 years is a long time to deal with constituency issues and with national issues. And every time you gave them a massive landslide of seats, so they couldn't say, well, we didn't have enough numbers to pass it through the House, pass it through the Senate. They always had the numbers. Even up to now, they still have the numbers. So what has happened? The other party that has had the opportunity to govern this country for the last 52 years, they have been there for about 50 years or so. I'm not quite sure the exact number, but it would be about 50 or more. The point is they have been in and out of government, in and out of opposition in this country. But the other party that's been there for 70 consecutive years, sitting in the Senate, sitting in the House of Assembly, even in the judiciary. They've had high positions in the judiciary, the Court of Appeal. They've been in all of that. And sometimes when you listen to some of them, they get all mixed up. You have to ask yourself, is he speaking as a judge? Is he speaking as a representative? Is he speaking as a minister? Is he speaking as a private citizen? We don't know. But I must tell you, Bahamians, those who've had the opportunity to govern the country and to deal with the issues that you have asked them to deal with has had tremendous abundance of time. Same thing with the other entity. They've had massive landslides of seats. The last one is 35 seats out of 39. I mean, how many more do you want, Bahamians? 35 out of 39. That's the way the electorate has been handling those who were given the authority to run the place. So no one could say they didn't have the numbers because you gave them the numbers. Now, why is it the problems ain't solved yet? Why is it today that crime, in spite of what the commissioner may say, all she got to do is add the dead people from last year and add them to this year, you got an increase. You can't satisfy the people who were slaughtered last year, their families remember that, and then say, because 10 were last year and 9 this year. That's 10 plus 9 is 19. That's not a decrease. That's an increase, Bahamians. The numbers keep piling up. Bunch of dead bodies keep piling up. The murder rate is very high in this country. She said the figures show they're trending down. 10 plus 9 is 19. And every year we have more than 100 people being slaughtered in this country. Now, why? Why should that be in a small country like the Commonwealth of Rome? Way over the statistics for the size the country we are. Even the experts say, no, 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 that's too high, far too high. But every single year, we've been counting more than 100 dead bodies. So you got to add all those up over the years. The thing is that I heard some remarks that she said, we're going to play it once we get the tape. But the thing is, Baham, is you don't satisfy people that way. Now, of course, there was a father who was slaughtered on Father's Day. And there was conversation on another talk show about what's going on. Is this a fight against authority in the country? Is it? What do you think, Bahamians? Is it a fight against the leadership of the church, the leadership, the political leadership in this country? In fact, do we know who are committing these crimes? Now listen, we got some people in our midst who are faceless. You don't know who they are. They may have dark skin. That doesn't make them Bahamian. If you are a genuine Bahamian, like I am, you don't commit murder. So for the last 52 years, we've had no murders. None. There's no need to do so. So we got to know who is in our midst that are committing these murders. But then they say Bahamians did that. And Bahamians carry a bad rap, particularly when you don't even know the heck who you have in your country. They may look like you, but they're not of you. And so they give you a bad name. They give the country a bad reputation. And what are we doing to get rid of them? Do Bahamians commit murders? You need to ask yourself that, Bahamians. Are they genuine Bahamians? Because when I check the Constitution, we're a nation under God. So how come a nation under God would want to commit murder? Why? What's the purpose of that? When you kill another human being, you're killing the very image and likeness of God. And God say, no, 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 no. That's not right. That carries a capital offense with God. And he said, by man shall his blood be shed because he was created in the image and likeness of God. So every time you kill someone, you're killing God. Do you know that? That's a serious crime, Bahamian. But the Commissioner of Police say crime is trending down. The figures are showing that. The figures show me. You had 100 last year, you have 100 this year, that's 200. That's an increase. Because you can't tell those families who've had their relatives slaughtered that crime is trending down. They ain't listening to that. That means nothing to them. And especially when it takes so long to get justice, to get these cases to be heard before the court. And people have to spend years waiting for something to happen. Now, that family that had the police officer slaughtered, and I heard some nice things they said about him on the radio. You know why I always tell myself? Why do we always wait until death occurs or some tragedy occurs before we begin to realize how nice this particular personality was? Why don't we hear that before? While they are alive, while they're here, while they can accept the flowers, while they are living, Bahamians, We hear all these nice, wonderful things. What a good father, good brother, good this, good that. And I'm not saying that what they say about this particular personality is not necessarily the truth. Don't misunderstand me. But I keep hearing these wonderful things. But I say, why isn't he not here? Why don't we keep them here? Why do we allow them to be slaughtered like this? Is there any way we could protect them? Or we just go happy-go-lucky. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever bucks up, bucks up. Come on, Bahamians. We keep losing too many men. I have said that repeatedly on this radio station. We have lost too many men. We got to find a way to keep those who are here alive until the man comes back. We can't keep going on like this, Bahamians. We got to bring it to a stop, and we can bring it to a stop. Are we ready for that kind of work? Are we ready to give information that is vital and necessary to police investigation to deal with some of these things? Are we ready for that? You who have relatives who are misbehaving and running afoul of the law, are you prepared to turn them in? The police say they have their intelligence. I understood in my area yesterday, you had a swarm of police officers in Fort Fincastle. I wasn't even aware of that. And they always come with guns when you see them in big numbers, trucks and all kind of thing they had. That was reported to me by people who live there. I didn't see any of it. But it was reported to me that that is what occurred yesterday being Sunday. I believe I was home, but I wasn't aware of anything. So you see how close it could come to you and you're not aware of what's going on. The point is, Bahamians, we have a very serious problem. So I had asked you from last July to 8. One major constituency problem could be solved in 18 months. See, Bahamians, I did my homework on this, You thought I was joking about that, eh? No, sir. Ain't no joke. This is serious business. It's worse now, almost a year later. We got a father gunned down on Father's Day, a husband, an uncle, a nephew, a brother. You know how much we have lost in that one man? And he told his children he would have been coming back. The children expecting daddy to come home. The wife expecting her husband to come home. But he didn't come back. And I heard the comments from one particular person who know him quite well. Very extensive comment on the radio. And he was supposed to take him to the airport. Now someone else had to take him. He was shocked because he said the person is very reliable. Now, why would we lose a reliable person whose word is good? Well, that's the report I got. And I don't think the gentleman would come on who's supposed to be a Christian, Anglican Christian gentleman, would come publicly say anything that's not true. Not them good Christian people in that Anglican church. Can't be them. You know if any of them commit any murders or rapes or armed robberies? Come on, Bahamians. That's not godly among Bahamian families. Excuse me. Seems like I got something in my throat. But Bahamians, we got to look at this thing seriously. We have lost too many men. So I had asked you, pick a team, find some righteous people. Because scripture says in Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. You want to see rejoicing in your constituency? That's what you have to do, is have righteous people run things. And the other portion of that same scripture says, thank you, Mr. Producer. See, I got a good producer. He always looks out for the host. The righteous in authority, the people rejoice. That happens all the time. But if you don't have righteous people running things, Bahamians, you can have problems. Let me just get a little sip of this water. My throat is a little dry. Excuse me a moment here. Thank you, Mr. Producer. The point is that we have to look at what Scripture says. See, when God tells you something, you got to believe it, Bahamians. That Scripture will stand forever. And I said to you, you need a righteous team to get things done. Number two, that's step number one. Step number two, 51% or more of you living in that particular constituency, what? Must become righteous in your dealings one with another. Then the constituency is headed for progress. We could get that 51%. That's not difficult to do. So I gave you almost a year, and I can't wait any longer. I have some alternative plans. And I was working on it for the last 11 months, almost a year now. It's less than a month now, almost 12 months. Next July the 8th. So be down to half a month now. This is the 16th. So Bahamians, just how you lost 11 months and a half is the way we lost 52 years. We just sit and do nothing. And conditions keep getting worse. And you expect them to get better? You don't do anything about it? Now you're supposed to be intelligent people. You're supposed to be smart people. You're supposed to be, well, educated people. Your intellectual capacity is not sufficient when it comes to solving problems. While it has its place and time, right? There's some other things. As the Constitution says, there's some specific things we have to do to guarantee our freedom. A national commitment to self-discipline. Do you have a constituency commitment to self-discipline? Are you a self-disciplined person in your own constituency? We have to apply those principles, Bahamians, at the constituency level and at the national level. You thought it would just put there, take up space. No. So watch this now. And I came to see, and it dawned on me yesterday. I said, you know something? July 8th is just around the corner, less than half a month away. And I have not gotten from any particular constituency to say, Professor, we have a proposed team that you can work with. And here is the problem we are interested in dealing with. No constituency has done that. After more than 11 and a half months. I simply told you to get to know the people on your street, get to know the people around the corner, and you had more than 11 and a half months to do that. What have you done with it? Nothing. You just sat right there and keep complaining. Bahamians, complaints isn't going to solve any problem. I even heard on the other sources say some people are afraid. What you all afraid of? I'd like for someone to call in today and tell me, what the heck are you afraid of? Afraid of what? Afraid of who? Where y'all get this nonsense from? When I check that Constitution, I'm not even using 5% of my constitutional authority. Do you know that, Bahamians? Because I'm constrained by certain constitutional principles that I have to go by. I want to jack it up to 10%, and then 15%, and then 20%. That's progress, Bahamians. I can't stay at less than 5%. That doesn't make any sense. So that was a test run for 11 and a half months, and you failed the test. Not one single constituency. I say, Professor, here's our team. Here is the problem we're looking at. Let's work with it. You mean to tell me Professor is the only one who can analyze these things? I hope not. But you ain't doing nothing about it, Bahamians. You have not done one single thing in 11 and a half months. It's more than 11 and a half months. So that was a test run to see your behavior. And you can't keep talking about you afraid. Because the Constitution we have guarantees you freedom, Bahamian. But you got to do some things to guarantee that freedom. If you don't do those things, you ain't going to have none. Now, there's some things I have to do in cooperation with others. Because the Constitution constrains an individual like me because that's what the law says. So I got to wake on you people to wake up, Bahamians, because the country is dying. It is falling apart. Do you understand how serious that is? Do you understand how serious we're losing male after male after male? Young men, and I think this one is about 58, if I'm not mistaken. 58 years young. He's not as young as I am. But he's gone, Bahamians. We lost him, and they spoke well of him. I'd like to see the Bahamian people, excuse me, I'd like to see the Bahamian people speak well of these deserving persons. Don't wait until they are deceased. Then you bring out all the positive tributes about that particular person. That's a bad habit we have. Very bad habit. We got to stop that foolishness, Bahamian. Let's celebrate the man while he's alive. Here is one who is an example as a husband, as a father, as taking care of his children. Now, you know some men don't take care of their children. You know that. But we got to highlight those who are. Father's Day was yesterday. And of course, in our church, we had Father's Day. And they highlighted the fathers of the church. Okay? That was a wonderful thing. And all the fathers got gifts. I got mine too, you know. So I just take care of the children. The point is, Bahamians, we've got to do better. Now, I ain't going to be waiting for y'all no longer, you know, because I got work to do. So I will ask you to support what is being done. I can get the job done with your cooperation, with your strong financial support. I'm ready to work. I don't want to be sitting up here for the next 11 and a half months saying the same thing, and you sit on your backside and you do nothing. Demons, that can't work. We are worse off now than we were last July 8th. You know how many people have died needlessly? And a lot of these things that are happening in this country don't even have to happen. I believe I hear the music in the background. This is Professor Sidney McGarr Walter Thompson. The name is I want you to call it. This is Constitution Day. I speak in Constitution today. Because I have to tell you, because you don't seem to understand the importance of this wonderful document that we have, which has tremendous freedoms and privileges and opportunities for us to build a strong nation under God. And you right here talking about you scared. Stop the crap, Bahamian. Stop the crap. Anyhow, this is Professor Sidney McGarr Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break. 7-1. Bahamians, I'm going to be very specific today, because I cannot afford to lose 11 and a half months again. That's not going to happen anymore. So I've been working on some things, and I will be getting the cooperation of people because some people have agreed to work along with me. And I can have righteous people. I might as well tell you that right off the top. Righteousness brings results, Bahamians. That's what the man tells me. When the righteous in authority, the people rejoice. If you want to see rejoicing on the ground in your constituency, that is what you have to do. And if you don't do that, you can get the opposite of that. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. How much of that do you want? You saw what happened yesterday? Police officers dead. You're going to play that tape shortly. And another person, from what I understand, appears to be one of the robbers, shot dead too. So here's a police officer making a deposit, as we understand. I don't know who got the bag, who got the deposit money. But the two of them died on the scene, the police officer and the robber. Now, what happened to the money bag, I don't know if he's able to get it in there or what, I don't know. We'll have to get further details on that. But 2 lives were lost. We have to do something about this kind of behavior, Bahamians. Robberies are not good. I remember a particular relative of mine lost a husband in a similar situation on Father's Day. When that particular individual went to do some banking on a Sunday morning, which was Father's Day, and he died right there in the booth. Bahamians, these are terrible things that keep happening over and over again. You know why? Because we don't do nothing about it. Nothing. We just shrug it off. Oh, well, that's just another one. Bahamians, you can't keep thinking like that. You got to stop that foolishness. You don't know who it may be today. You have to live today, Bahamians. You have to live in the present. The past is the past. The future is to come. But we have to live in the present. What are we going to do today to prevent these things from happening? Or are we going to just hear about it when it happens again? What are we doing to prevent it from happening? What are you parents doing out there with your young sons, your teenage sons, your older sons in their 20s who are running afoul of the law? What are you doing about that? You have to get people to talk to them, to communicate with them so they can change their behavior. It's possible for them to change. Now you got some people who believe that when you reach a certain age, you can't change. That's not true. That's not true at all. God called Abraham at the age of 75, and most of you don't live to be 75. And he changed at 75 when God spoke to him. He was converted. So anyone 75 and under could be converted. I was called to conversion 54 years ago, going on 55 next January the 11th. It's possible to change for the better, Bahamians, but we have to get involved in changing things on the ground where we live. I'm going to get a very strong ground campaign, in addition to being on the air. You're on the air for 2 hours at a time. But the point is, ground campaigning is what is needed. right on the ground where the people are. You have to be an example to those people. Because there are those who do some things and people are distrustful. They don't see an example. And so they think you're joking. And some people say, I don't want to vote no more. I tired of voting. I ain't fooling around with that. You just aren't doing the right thing, Bahamians. Yes, you go to the poll and you mark an X against a particular personality. But was that the right thing for you to do? Then some say, I ain't going no more. I just staying away, as happened the last election, causing a low voter turnout. But if you don't go to the polls, you don't participate in the parliamentary democracy. Those who go and participate are the ones who will make the decision. And I have to tell you that people have to be more discerning when it comes to choosing persons to be your parliamentary representative. I don't think we are discerning enough. We know little or nothing about these individuals. That's a big problem right there. How do you go about carefully analyzing these individuals? And I have to go in depth into that. I have the Holy Bible and the Constitution. That's all I need. And I'm going to tell you they're the two tools you need, Bahamians. You ain't need nothing else. Now, you know, political parties are going to write up all kinds of things and say this and say that. They've been going on for more than 52 years. But we have seen the results right in your face that conditions have worsened over a 52-year span. That's a fact of life. Anyone who sticks his head in the sand and say it ain't so is lying, misleading, deceiving. So what are we going to do about it, Bahamians? We have to make better choices. We have to make sound decisions and good judgments. We can't keep going on the way we're going on now. We need strong parliamentary representation to deal with constituency issues. Strong parliamentarians help bring about a strong national government, because you can stand right up in that house and tell that man, no, sir, you're wrong. Change it. But if all you do be like sheep to the slaughter, the man doing all kind of crap, but you do nothing about it, that can't work. Now let me give you some things I was looking at. The Nationality Act, which has been used from 1973, which was passed under the old Parliament when we were a colony, to come into effect July the 10th, 1973. And the government of the Bahamas never seemed to understand that that act never qualified under the current constitution. It never did. There was to be a referendum. We have the record to show from the parliamentary registration that there was no referendum. We got that in writing. You think we play games, eh? We don't play no game. We wanted proof. Where is the proof of the referendum for the Nationality Act? None. It was never held. They've been working it for 52 years. When the Constitution says, which came into effect July the 10th, 1970, all existing laws must come under that Constitution. The Nationality Act never did. Do you know that, Bahamians? Go and check the record. And from July the 10th, 1970, right on up to now, the government has been wrong. Consistently wrong for 52 years. They've had attorney general after attorney general after attorney general, and no one has corrected it. There's some brilliant minds in there. Paul Adley, the Honorable Paul Adley, who could row good when it comes to law. He missed it, Bahamians. Then you had Sean McQueenie, who's supposed to be another bright scholar, attorney general. He missed it. And you've had some others. And now this one you got here, this one don't seem to know what the heck he's doing anyhow. He missed it by 1 trillion miles. He don't seem to know what's going on. Because he's telling the government you could change constitutional law by ordinary statute. That's not true. That could never happen. You have a caller or you have the tape. Oh, you have the clip. Okay, I come into the clip. Let me just get this point across. The point is, Bahamians, that's where the error occurred right at the very beginning, July the 10th, 1973. The government of the Bahamas, the Parliament of the Bahamas, never corrected the error. And they've been wrong, and they stayed wrong for 52 years, right on up to July the 10th of this year. That's a serious indictment against the government. All evidence proves it. And those who have evidence contrary, you bring it forth, because I dealing with facts. I dealing with the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. When the Constitution says, if you want to make changes to this Constitution, there is a procedure you must go by. And the Parliament never, ever went by that procedure. Or they just thought they could just swing it over. You don't do crap like that. And because it has never been corrected, we have had a compilation of problems. Now, let me comment on a statute law they passed. That was 73. It came into effect in 1973. I think they did it in 1972. They had the discussion on it. Set to come into effect July the 10th, 1973. When it came into effect, July the 10th, when it was supposed to come into effect, it died because it didn't line up with the Constitution. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas is the supreme law, and the supreme law says if you don't line up with this Constitution, you're null and void. That's Article 2. So let's not be wasting time, Bahamians. The government is wrong, dead wrong, and has always been wrong from the inception of independence. Everyone who got citizenship under the Bahamas Nationality Act is fraud. Every single piece of document is fraud. So all of them got to be thrown in the garbage. Now you talk about the naturalization. That's another error by the government. Naturalization was offered to people who were working in the Bahamas, who were a part of the British of England, the British Commonwealth. They were working here. Some of them had children here. And they were given a 1-year window of opportunity to decide if they want to have citizenship in this new nation called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And that was for those who were in the Bahamas, not for any and everybody. They had children here. Now, as far as I know, most of them went back home. May have been a couple who may have stayed, but no big number. That ended July the 10th, 1974. That's right in the document. Naturalization stopped July the 10th, 1974. Now you got all this crap in the newspapers from that day up to now. All who got naturalization, false. That's not constitutionally sound. Every single person talking about they applying for naturalization. You can't naturalize anybody unless the Constitution say you could. It has to be constitutionally sound, but it isn't. We had no referendum to revive naturalization. And see, these are the things what you need to understand, Behemoths, why this country is so frigged up, why we have so many problems with immigration, why we have so many problems with citizenship, and the citizenship articles as clear as crystal. In fact, I got to go over all of them again. One by one, in simple, basic, fundamental language. Even a little 5-year-old child will be able to understand it. Now you got all kinds of people talking about they want to be naturalized. Strangers, foreigners, aliens, who could never ever qualify unless there was an amendment to the Constitution. There hasn't been any, Bahamian, because it never came to the people. Now, there are a few articles in there they could handle without coming to a referendum, because some people were talking about when they had this office of, what they created, this new office for the Attorney General's office, Director of Public Prosecutions. When you check that piece of legislation, you're going to see, that's why I tell you, you got to do your homework. I don't be playing games when it comes to this Constitution. You're going to see that there's no such thing as no independent director of public prosecutions. If the Attorney General steps out of line, could the Director of Public Prosecution put him in the cell? You think about that. There's no independence, Bahamians, because there are two things. The Attorney General gives oral or written instruction to the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Director of Public Prosecutions says, I ain't checking for you. But if the Director of Public Prosecution was independent and given instruction by the Attorney General, and you're Director of Public Prosecution, you can lock him up, put him in the cell. But every instruction the Director of Public Prosecution get from the Attorney General, you have to do it. That's in the law. Check it for yourself, Bahamians. See, probably y'all don't read and study these things. And you just accept the crap that people put out there. The Director of Public Prosecutions is, they might as well have let the Attorney General keep it as it was from the beginning. But only now you got to explain why you have these things when you decide you want to nullify the case. But you have to give an explanation. In the original writing, the Attorney General could just say, annulliate. That's it, case closed. You have to say nothing to nobody. That's what's been happening. Payments, the lines are open, 326-0271, 326-0272. This is Constitution Day. It's serious about Constitution. You got to get serious too, because this place is jacked right up, Bahamians. All we got are problems. Constituency problems, national problems. When we going to fix them? We got to start fixing them now. Mr. Producer, play the tape, please.
Before 12 noon today, our police control room received reports that a male was shot in the Palmdale shopping plaza here. Our officers responded, and upon their arrival at this location, they discovered that 2 men had been shot. Our brief investigation so far tells us that a man who we now identify as a police reserve inspector was at the deposit drop box making a deposit when he was accosted by a group of men. There was an exchange of gunfire resulting in 2 of them, the police inspector and another man, being shot. They were later confirmed deceased here on the scene. We have no further information at this time, but we are appealing to the public. We know that the other men who accompanied the man who had been shot got into a small white vehicle and left this area. A team of officers are combing the streets of New Providence for any information that can lead to the arrest of those other men. And I'm appealing to the members of the public who may have information as to who they are to turn them in. I have given specific instructions that those men are my officers are to hit the streets of New Providence and find those responsible for this today. That is as much as we have. Again, we appeal to the public for any information.
Now, I agree with what the commissioner said about finding those men who are responsible for causing the death of this police officer. This is what these criminals do, they run and hide. And the hard-working police officers of the Royal Bombers, we got some good people in there, Not everything is negative about the Royal Bombers Police Force. I agree with her that you who have information, you know who they are. Turn them in and let justice prevail. We can't keep shielding criminals' behaviors. So she's appealing as Commissioner of Police for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those persons responsible for this crime. A man died on Father's Day. He was supposed to be going back home to his children and his wife. A father, a husband, an uncle, a brother, somebody's nephew. Bahamians, we lost a citizen from the reports I heard on another radio station. A man of good reputation, well respected. Well respected, that's what they told me on that station. I don't know, my producer has another tape on it. He may have one, but he'll let me know. But the point is, Bahamians, I'm saddened by that happening on Father's Day. And it reminded me of my cousin, one of my first cousins, whose husband was gunned down right there on the spot, in the booth at Scotiabank on Wolf Road, where the gas station is. And that person died, never made it back home for his child's celebration. These are the kind of shocking things that happen, Bahamians. We need not have these things happen here. Are we living in the Gaza Strip? Are we living in Sudan? Are we going to let things worsen to the point where we got to go in bomb shelters now? Do we want it to get to that point? Because Bahamians, if we keep sitting down doing nothing, that's what's going to happen. And of course, I hope my producer has that tape further on the commission where she said criminals will not take over the streets. I want to hear that as well. So as he cues that up. But the point is, Bahamians, we have a crime problem. It's a very serious one. Some family is mourning today. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Criminals roaming the streets, taking advantage of innocent people. That's wickedness, Bahamians. Now a family is mourning for their loved one. The breadwinner of that particular family. I understand he has about three children. And it hurts, Bahamians. That family was not expecting that to happen to him. And it ought not to happen. He should have been able to go home, have a nice Father's Day celebration with his family. But he would not be able to do that. That family is in mourning today. And they're going to feel that for quite some time. And so we got to pray for them, ask God to strengthen them, hold them up, because these are very troublesome times, Bahamians. You don't know who the next victim may be. You just don't know, because you're never given notice that something is going to happen. Unless God reveals it to you and say, don't go that way, because sometimes it happened to me. Don't go that way, go this way. And they say, that's something in you. I don't know about that part, but that's what some people say. That little voice inside of you. I ain't got no little voice inside of me. But some people believe that. I believe what the Bible says. That's what I believe. So God will give you warning sometime, but you got to listen to the warning and save your life. We are living in very serious times, and we've got to move on, Bahamians. We can't let the country fall apart. Don't wait until it gets like the Gaza Strip. Don't wait until it gets like Haiti. Don't wait until it gets like Sudan. You are at the point of no return. Those countries may never recover. We can recover today. We can stop the foolishness today. That's why we're still here. We have an opportunity. We got a very strong constitution which protect our rights, our freedoms, our privileges. And we got to make sure as good citizens we do just that. We obey the law. This is Professor Sidney McCarter Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break. simplify something. The Constitution speaks about constituencies. We have where the Constitution says 38 or more constituencies. The minimum amount could be 38. But we could change that and have lesser constituencies. You don't want too many of them out there. But we could look at the Senate. Now, the Senate hasn't really done a good job in the administration of governance in this country. In fact, the Senate has been used by political parties as a whipping boy to prepare people. Listen to this now, preparing people to go to the lower house. You any crap like that? The Senate's supposed to be the upper house where legislation from the lower house goes to the Senate, to more mature people to evaluate what it is the lower house said. But we don't operate like that. We put young greenhorns in the Senate. They lose an election, so they get put in the Senate. And then next time around, they try to get back in the House. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? And all the Senate does now is rubber stamp things. They send nothing back. They send no corrective action to the lower house. The Senate's supposed to be doing that behavior. That's not happening. You know how long they've been going on for 52 years as an independent nation? 16 senators. And the thing is that we have to look at that piece of legislation. Now, that will take constitutional change to deal with that. Whether we need to increase the number of senators to match the number of seats in the House of Assembly. For every constituency, you have a senator and you have a House of Assembly member, and you have elected personalities in every single situation. Okay, I think my producer has that tape ready. Phone call. Oh, I didn't. Okay. We have a call on the line. Caller, you're live on here. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Good, good. Professor, I was listening to you, but with this crime thing that's going on in the country.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I remember growing up, if we were to have 2 drownings in a year, that country, that would be news.
Yeah, that is true.
A traffic fatality would have been big news.
That's right.
But within this past 5, 6 years now, every year we recording 100 and something murders.
Yes.
Every year.
It's even longer than that, but I agree with what you said.
100 and more.
100 or more, yes.
Oh, yes. And now I heard the commissioner, she mentioned that crime is
trending down.
It's trending downward. Okay. I don't understand how logic.
I don't understand it either, because if you had 100 last year and you had 105 this year, that's 205. That's an increase.
Where's the downturn?
I don't see any trending down.
But until, Professor, we get our country back as Bahamians, because what has happened, we have been hijacked.
Yes, we have.
We have a lot of people in this country who are from evil. It's just their nature.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand? That's just who they are. That's in their blood.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I was seeing on Facebook, they're saying that one of the gentlemen who shot Mr. Williams, or who was a part of that robbery,
yes,
is a Haitian young man.
Yes, I understand the same thing, yes.
Natural Bahamians, we don't shoot and kill nobody.
See, this is why
we don't do that.
Yeah, okay.
And then you have this video the other day with this Haitian boy. There's a whole lot more Haitian Bahamians in the Bahamas and like it's a threat to Bahamians, basically telling us we don't want to start nothing that we're not prepared to finish.
That was a threat.
You know, they don't understand. You come to the Bahamas and your parents are Haitian, you are Haitians. You're not Bahamians, you'll never be a Bahamian.
That's right.
But they want to tell us where we could go. And then you have not one MP I see stand up and say anything about this crime. They don't come to the microphone. They don't do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
These people live in their constituencies and they say nothing. I mean,
That's
mothers,
correct.
you're losing your children.
Yes, we're losing
We need
our...
to hear from you.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Somebody has got to stand up and say something. This has to be addressed.
Yes, ma'am, it has to. It's very serious.
My God, I mean, how much more?
How much more must we
You
take?
know, how much more, Professor? Every
That's a good question.
day, innocent people are just being gunned
Done right
down.
down. That's why I'm saying that I know I'm a Bahamian citizen, a genuine Bahamian citizen. Was a part of the colony back then, a British subject. And on July the 10th, 1973, I became a citizen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It is not in the nature of Bahamians to behave the
It's
way
not.
some people are behaving today. That's why I keep
It's
saying,
not.
do
It's
we
not,
know?
Professor.
I agree with you. Do we know who these
we-
people are who are committing these crimes?
And you don't ever hear because they don't come and tell you. And like you said, justice takes so long
Too long.
in this country.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, each day this one happened, then you forget about that because somebody else got killed. Then you forget
Yes.
about that one because somebody else.
Else got killed. That's correct.
You know, and we were raised to respect our police officers
Oh, yeah.
or people in authority. That's Bahamian.
That's Bahamian. Yes,
Anything
ma'am.
outside of that is not us.
Not us. Yes.
We know nothing about guns.
That's right.
If you threw a rock at somebody to hit them, you threw that rock and you didn't even wait to see where it landed because you were running.
Yes. That's
But
right.
these children got guns coming from everywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not Bahamian.
No, it isn't.
But we're so mixed up in this country now. This bloodline is just amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to do something. We are losing everybody in our country. This is sad.
It's very sad.
And our MPs, I'm so disappointed in them.
Yes, ma'am.
So disappointed. Professor, I don't know what's going to happen, what it's going to take, but we need to take our country has got to go back. We've got to get it back.
It has to.
We got too much strain, just like you say, in this land.
Yes, ma'am.
And they don't share our values.
No, they don't.
That's the biggest thing. They don't have to love our country the way we do.
No, they don't.
And the international community now look at us as a bunch of savages.
Yes.
We just killing and shoot people left and right.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody who knows the Bahamas expect this to be coming out of the Bahamas. Nobody who love our country.
Yes, ma'am.
Our tourists don't expect this.
We got plenty of tourists out there.
We have people who have been coming for years and years.
Yes, ma'am.
And they know nothing about what's happening in the Bahamas today.
Yes, ma'am.
They used to feel safe. Women could come by themselves. The husbands could have stayed home. Family was sent. And they were feeling safe in our country.
That's right.
Because that's what we provided for them.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
now, Mr. Davis have all of these Haitian flights coming into the country. Nobody's vetting those people down there because they don't have a government. people jailbreaking. Donald Trump don't want them in
No,
America.
you don't want them. Yes.
But our government ain't saying nothing but stopping them from coming to the Bahamas.
Yes, ma'am.
Our government is saying nothing.
Nothing at all.
He's sending flights to pick them up.
Yes, ma'am.
We Mr. Davis, need to take a step down. Because
Yes,
when
ma'am.
he's in the Haitian church, he attending their events, and he's giving these people carte blanche.
Yes, ma'am.
They think they own our country.
Yes, ma'am.
We need all of them out of the country, all. I don't
All
care
of
where
them.
they come from.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And the lady is correct on all points, because you have to ask yourself, and we haven't evaluated this properly at the national level. Who are these people in our midst that are giving us such a bad name? Because there are some things that are not Bahamian that are happening in this country. I'm a genuine Bahamian, and I know how the Bahamian male is. And I know a stranger, a foreigner, an alien, an outsider is not a part of us. But we have them in our midst. And the authorities are not checking to see who is in the country. But you got a bunch of hoodlums in the country creating havoc on the country and giving us who are genuine Bahamians a bad reputation. Because they're saying those Bahamians over there are a bunch of savages. That's how they look at you. And that's not a good thing to be examined by. And so it's making it very, very difficult for us to move ahead in this country. So, Bahamians, there are some specific things I will be doing. I will be calling upon you to assist. We want you to support the radio show. That's point number one. To put your ads in here, and you call Professor Sidney McArthur, Walter Thompson. You can call the radio station, leave your name and number, say, I want to give this to Professor. Or you can send me an email. And please, when you send the emails, please put the phone numbers on them. Because I'm going to be looking at every single email, and I look for that phone number, because there are times when I read them, I want to make a quick call to you, but there's no number. While we have the email, that's fine. But there are times when I might want to make a call to the particular person who sent the email, but we don't have a phone number. Put your phone number or numbers. And then, of course, we need those. I'm going to give my box number too, P.O. Box N9049, for those who want to write and send that through the post. We will take that as well. But the emails are very important, or the phone calls through National Affairs. 325-8652, 325-8652. I want to hear from you, Bahamians, because we got some serious problems to deal with. And there are some specific things that I am going to be doing, because I gave you more than 11 and a half months. Payments, I can't wait any longer. That's 11 and a half months that went down the drain. So now we will let that pass and move on. We've got to get things done. You heard what the lady just said? We got to fix this place, Bahamians. While you have a government in place, there's a way to deal with a government that's flunking and not adhering to the problems that the nation faces. That's all revealed in the Constitution. It's all revealed in the Bible too. So it don't act as if we are without hope, Bahamians. But there's some things we can do now, today. That's what I wanted you to be concerned about. There are things we can do in the constituency today. There are things we can do at the national level today. Even if those whom you elected, and you did elect them, don't you forget that. But they're just sitting there. And you're not putting the kind of pressure on them and put pressure on the government of the Bahamas to bring change. And you have the authority to do it. But you're not using your constitutional authority. So the people say, well, we're doing a good job. And you sit in silence and let them put this crap on you while murders keep on increasing. Bahamas, that's not a good way to go. We have armed robberies. We have sexual perversion in this country, molestation, persons who are said to be fathers of these children molesting the children. Now, come on, Bahamian. Where did that come from? Bahamian fathers? Are they Bahamian fathers or are they foreign fathers? Molestation on children. Sexual molestation on children. Who brought that into the country? When I was growing up as a child, you had boys and girls sleeping together in one bed, and it was not a problem. Wherever mommy and daddy sent you, that's where you went. There was law and order, but today, everything is all tumbled up. We don't seem to know where we're going. Because we can't stay like this. Now, let me say, I was talking about legislation, the Electricity Act of 2024. I told you about the Nationality Act of 1973. The Electricity Act of 2024 just recently passed. Do you know the government of the Bahamas is not going by that act? Bahamas, I need you to read these things, man. They have signed all kind of agreements, say they want to bring electricity to these different islands. Agreement signed in the office of Prime Minister. The act didn't say that, you know. The act said some specific things are to be done before any signing. Where's the consultation? Who they consult with? With who? What about those who have opposition to what is being proposed? Where is the avenue for that? That's lined up in the act. That's the Statute Law Act. But they passed it 2024. 1973, 2024. 52 years later. And Bahamians, they are not going by the act. Then you got another one having to deal with natural resources, carbon credits. They passed this one before they passed the one about 2024. Maybe you need to check these things out, man. This country is all messed up. They passed it when y'all were joking and talking about y'all Russian. And you got one particular personality who has all this power in the hands of one. That's what the parliament did, you know. The parliament passed it. Every single one of them in that house passed it and say that's constitutional. To give all kind of financial power in the hands of one man. And then the others, they can't say nothing because they'll get fined. You any crap like that? But this is in the act. Go and read it for yourself, Bahamians. Now, let me just say this so you could understand where I'm coming from. I need 49 people. 7 teams of 7 persons to check every single piece of legislation that the government of the Bahamas works with, all of these agreements they're signing. You see all this kind of reading we got to do? It takes facilities, it takes equipment, it takes manpower, it takes financial support to do that, Bahamians. One person can't do that. And yet you're sitting right there and allowing all this thing to go on in this country, and you ain't checking upon that. I figured out that my team needs to be 49 person just to examine every single piece of legislation. We're going to take the most important ones first. We haven't even talked about the treaties that have been signed. All kind of treaties they signed. But I need to have proper examination of these things before I could come on air and speak about them. And that calls for some funding, Bahamians, serious funding. Because we got to bring these people on board so we could study these things and look at these things and examine these things. Intelligent people out there who have a love for this country, who can assist in examining all the available. Because see, when we say it, we go right to that. This is what the government said. And we quote it verbatim. And Bahamians, it takes a lot of work to do those things. And there's plenty things that have been passed that have to be examined to see whether it's constitutionally sound. Every single piece of legislation, every single agreement, every single treaty, because they sign all kinds of things. You don't even know the half of them. You don't even probably know 1/10 of them. But you're sitting right there. And all they're doing is signing away this country. And we don't know what we sign. Oh, let's put it this way. What they sign. Say they sign on our behalf. And you know the heck what it is. Baby, is this the way we're supposed to be running the country? Is this the way we're supposed to be? Is this a democracy? Someone sent me an email saying dictatorship. I don't see it in the Constitution. So I'm going to dismiss that. You cannot be afraid because the Constitution empowers you to deal with a government when they step out of line. It didn't say you must sulk and moan and gripe and grumble and no. We could do far better than that. The Constitution is right there to tell you how to do it. But you ain't doing it. And a lot of you are so quiet. See, I even told you a specific point in the article about freedom of expression. You don't even use that. That lady from Freeport, she uses it. I think she wants to use it even more. Freedom to impart ideas and opinions without interference. Do you understand how powerful that is? And you still don't use it. Freedom to impart your correspondence without interference. No one's supposed to interfere with your freedom of expression. No one. Because the Constitution didn't say it have to be right, you know. The Constitution didn't say you have to be constitutionally sound on every expression that you make. No. You could say, Professor, these are my views on this particular subject. Professor has to be quiet. I can't interfere with that. But if you sit in your corner and sulk around one drinking table where you're drinking rum, under the tree talking foolishness and nonsense, instead of picking up the phone and calling the show and expressing it so others could hear. And then some people tell me they want me to say this, they want me to say, no. You say it yourself. Because I know what I'm going to say when I come on the microphone. But you need to say it too. How you feel about some things. Now, some of you are not going to be constitutionally sound, but do not purport it to as if it is constitutionally sound. Now, that's when I have a problem with you. Because if you start to say things on air which are not constitutionally sound, and you're purporting to be constitutionally sound, now that's when I have to stop you. But if you say these are my personal views on this particular subject, no problem. I got no problem with that. But giving out misinformation on the Constitution is a no-no on this show. I can tell you that right off the top. If you don't know, then you don't know. Now get to know. And you got to start looking at all these acts, man. All kind of things we got to examine. That's why I tell you I need 49 people to examine these things, and we need them full time, around the clock, because there's plenty of information to be looked at. That's not a small job, Bahamian. How you expect me to educate you properly if I don't have the team to work with me? I can't do it. One man can't do it. It's not for one person to do. The Constitution constrains me when it comes to that. So let's get it right, Bahamian. You got to do some things. This is Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We'll be back after the break.
At 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney McArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. I knew someone would ask me whether I went to see the Chief Justice today. There was a hiccup. The person who was accompanying me had some unusual problems today, and I know it's the enemy at work. But we're going to arrange to go at a future time. It may be the same week once we get all the kinks out, and anyone else who's willing to come with me. See, this is where you say you want to support Professor Thompson in this particular matter, of course, because we have to go and see him. I have to ask him some questions, and only the Chief Justice can answer the questions. So I'm going to go there, and I had asked my good friend to come along with me because I want witnesses to be there. And so if there are any others out there who would like to come, when we do it, you just give me your name and your contact. We will inform you when we're going. And it could be the same week. Because remember now, halfway through June is gone. We were supposed to hear about this case either April, May, June. This is June 16th, Bahamians. The enemy is at work. We have to work also to get things done. We can't let the enemy stop us. We have to fight. And if you're serious about saving your country, there are other things that have to be done in order to save this country. And there's a lot of work involved, Bahamians. Let me say this to you. We got to have some town meetings on parliamentary representation. Those of you who are out there campaigning, those of you who want to be representatives, and you got your program, you got your plan, come right here to Global. And we will bring you on Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. But of course, you have to pay for that service. We can't give you that for free. Those who have those programs, you want to do well in your particular constituency, because I can tell you right now, during that 11 and a half months, while I was asking the people in those particular constituencies to get their grouping together, which they have failed to do. Not one single constituency did it. So they had their time. So I'm not going to ask them to do that anymore. While they were there, I was working all the time. So in the event if I had to make an alternative decision, I would have to do that. And I have to do that. I worked quietly in the background, along with others, to find some competent, reliable, responsible persons in these constituencies where things could get done, Bahamians. But like the scripture says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Bahamians, if there ain't no righteous people, there ain't nothing happening for you. Where wickedness abound, you're going to keep mourning. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Do you have any rejoicing in your constituency? Name one constituency where the people are rejoicing. I challenge you to do that today on the 16th of June, 2025. Let me know whether the people in Centerville, where I live, are rejoicing today. Are they? Had plenty of police officers combing the area yesterday, perhaps in connection with that robbery. Plenty of them. I wasn't even aware that was going on. I was washing yesterday and didn't know what was happening until I was told. So they must have been doing it quietly. Swarmed the area. I say, you mean to tell me all the police officers over there? They ain't come to protect me. But the point is, we have problems, Bahamians. Do not wait until this thing break right down. You can't even come out your house no more. Is that what you want? You want the whole country to fall right to the ground like Haiti? Because they ain't coming up no time soon. Sudan isn't coming up anytime soon. They've got to go through the muck and the mire of having their relatives slaughtered. They're fighting, fighting, fighting. Many already dead, thousands already dead. Hundreds of thousands displaced. Come on, Bahamians. It's not getting any better. It's getting worse. And we got to get rid of these strangers, these foreigners, these aliens, these outsiders in our country. Then we will know who really is doing the crime. But you can't say Bahamians are doing these crimes. Bahamians don't behave like that. Because you're saying, I'm a criminal too. I just go around raping and robbing people. My ma and pa ain't trained me that way. Like the lady said from Freeport. See, you have to know what is Bahamian. What is the nature of a Bahamian man? What is the nature of a Bahamian woman? Now, I'm not saying we're perfect, But there are some things that are happening in this country, the kind of crime that you saw yesterday. That's from somewhere else. Bahamians don't behave like that. Not genuine Bahamians who love their country. They don't live like that. And I'm one of them. And I've been in the country for 52 years, from the very beginning of independence right up to now. And if everyone was like me, you would never have a murder in this country. But you got all kind of slop, all kind of crap going on. You're bringing a bunch of crappy people in here who have no character, who have no decency, who have no honesty. All they want to do is break up and destroy. That's why we have the problems we have today. I think Mr. Producer, you have the tape ready. My producer has the tape ready. He's going to play this tape from the commissioner now, the commissioner talking. Let's hear what she has to say.
Father's Day. Not so happy Father's Day, I must. Unfortunately, we find ourselves again on a crime scene here on this Father's Day. Not so happy Father's Day, I must say. Just before 5 p.m., we know that a white vehicle, a Jeep, pulled through or drive through this street, Cordo Avenue. A group of persons were congregated in the property just nearby. Two men emerged from that vehicle, both armed with firearms, and opened fire on the persons who were gathered. 3 persons were shot. 1 succumbed to his injuries. The other 2 men were taken to hospital. We have officers up there now checking their conditions, and once we are able to determine their condition, we will certainly share that. These men got back into that white vehicle and left this area. We have now located that vehicle. I can confirm that we have located that vehicle, and a team of officers are en route to that location to continue investigation into this matter.
Well, that's good. And this is why we have to work with the police. They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, but we ought to work and cooperate with the police. I always believe in cooperating with the police. Now, of course, there are some things. I don't know, Commissioner has to do something with Central Police Station, because Central Police Station does not support Fort Fincastle. I can make sure that message gets to the Commissioner. And make sure those people at Central Police Station give attention to the people in Fort Fincastle. That ain't happening now. We have to call, well, they got 919 right across the road from us anyhow, right at police headquarters. Now they respond now, I must say they respond, because I called them several times and I got quick response. I appreciate that. And they have been very helpful. So we got some positive things happening with the police force. That's a good thing. The commissioner says in another tape, I don't think my producer got that one, where she says she's going to protect the good citizens of the Bahamas. That's good. I think she means well. So we have to work with our police officers. These are well-intentioned, well-meaning officers. Now, you got some who did some funny things and put a black cloud over the police force. Now we got to fix that. Now they were saying there were just a few bad apples. Well, we got to get rid of the few bad apples. Take them out of the pile so they don't contaminate the whole force or the whole bundle or the whole bag. Because rotten things contaminate. That's why we have to know who's in this place contaminating this nation. And then you can talk about their Bahamians. Even a former commissioner said they're Bahamian. You don't know the heck what he's talking about. Because then it makes me look bad. You're saying I was a criminal too. I never lived like that. My ma and pa taught me good sense. There are things that are happening in this country. Bahamians, you got to put your foot down and you got to help us. And we need your strong financial support because I can be calling on you. Now, when you send those emails in, the state of the nation 242@gmail.com. I spoke to my team and they ready to receive those emails. Please put the telephone numbers on them because I got some and I read them. I studied them. I said, man, if I just had the number, I could have called that person right away. Because I got to see all of them because I need them to respond. The team will respond to it and send out the information I want them to send. But put the phone numbers on it, Bahamians, please. Whether you're in New Providence, Grand Bahama, I got some from Grand Bahama, but I don't have a phone number. Put the phone number there. Make it easy for Professor when he looks at it, bing, and then I can send it on to my people and they will send out the email. So I want to make sure that we understand, because sometimes I have to call some of these people, but put the phone numbers there, please, so I could have that phone contact. Give me phone numbers that are waking now. As I keep my lines on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was having some challenges in the past with that. It would appear as if that may be over. I hope it's over till Christ comes back. Because see, when a problem is solved, it must be solved and you never have that problem again. That's what I'm trying to tell you on the ground in the constituencies. There are benefits that come when a problem is solved, Bahamians. But if there ain't no benefit, no problem solved, what you expect? You will keep having the same foolishness over and over and over again. And you just sit right there and let it happen. So don't forget now, I told you I need 49 people to do research, to examine every single piece of information, all those treaties. See, I haven't even talked about the treaties. Treaty between the Bahamas and the United States. They got to have to research the thing, Bahamians. I need the team to do it. And it costs funding. We got to get our equipment. We got to get the team together, organized. They have to be in a secure place so they can work. 49 of them I need. Because it's plenty information to research. So when I speak publicly, I have hardcore evidence that this is what it is, Bahamians. So when you have professors say something about a national issue, he's done the homework, or the team has done the homework. And I don't want to mislead the public on any issue of national importance. Bahamians, we've lost too much time. 52 years is a long time. Now, I told you about the town meetings. You need sponsors for town meetings. Now, those of you who are campaigning, who want to run in these constituencies, bring your business to Global Radio 99.5 FM. We open for everything. You want to have a town meeting, we could wait that for you too. You want to come on air, we could wait with that for you too. We give you time on the radio station. Some of y'all were thinking the professor don't want people who have different political views. No, man. The door wide open. Bring your information. You call the radio station, say, I want to leave this message for Professor Sidney McGarta Walter Thompson. And I will get on it, and we will get to you. We'll talk to you, and then you get your ads and everything cut. If you don't have none cut, we got people right here who could cut them for a reasonable fee. And then, of course, the time you buy 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. Give you all that time in the show. So, Bahamians, we need persons who are going to take an interest in you. Do not expect the hierarchy in the political party to help you. Because see, when you look at what's happening in the parties right now, plenty of them getting dumped. And they come up with this nice, smooth talk about they ain't running again. It's subtle, Bahamian. You got one party that's extremely subtle in their ways. The next one is more brazen. They'll break up the house if necessary. And they show you it's out in the public. But the other one, oh, I ain't running no more. But the damage has already been done. The constituency in shambles. And people are hurting. You even had their own members say that. Ain't nothing happening in the constituency. These are long-standing problems. I told you about one particular party that has been there for 70 years next year. 70 years. Unbroken unbroken sitting in the House of Assembly and in the Senate. Now, whether they're giving parliamentary representation, that's another kettle of fish. Because that ain't happening. It's not happening, Bahamians. But they've been there 70 years. Every single constituency problem should have been solved by now, after 70 years. But we ain't got none solved. I don't know of any being solved. I've been asking you for almost a year. And not one of you could come up and say, Professor, I live in this particular constituency. These are the constituency problems that have been solved, and these are the clear-cut benefits we are enjoying today. Not a living soul has been able to answer. So what happened to you people out there? You're all supposed to be intelligent. You're supposed to be smart. You're supposed to be brilliant. And you can't answer a simple question. You've been living there all your life. All the 52 years you've been living there. Those who've been around at the time when we became an independent nation. Then the younger ones who've been born, you've been living in that constituency all your life. Or you might have moved to another one. But nevertheless, you're in a particular constituency. And you mean to tell me you do not know what's happening on the ground in your constituency? You know, I don't believe that crap. That is a bunch of crap. Because it's not true. You're lying to yourself, Bahamians. I could look at Centerville. I live in Centerville. And I could tell you whether any major constituency problems have been solved in Centerville. Because the Centerville people would be rejoicing. Do you see the Centerville people rejoicing today? Where's the rejoicing in Centerville? That's what the scripture tells me. So the evidence is there, Bahamians. Bahamians, the evidence is there. Either you'll be rejoicing or you're mourning. Now you pick the one you're doing. So I'm going to be working very hard to bring change. And I need your cooperation. Because I'm not going to be around just lousing around and letting the place fall apart. That can't happen no more. We had 52 years of that. We don't need that anymore. Don't let the country sink to the bottom where we can't rise no more. And all you have is confusion and chaos. See what's happening in the United States now? All kind of internal conflict in different cities. They say the democratic cities. And one talk show host had it even a more objective view where he said both parties are responsible for the crap that's going on in the United States. And I say the same thing here. Both of all those, let me put it clearly now. He said parties. I have to make a distinction here. All those who were given the opportunity to govern this country over the last 52 years have contributed to the decline in the standards in this country because the problems are still here, long-standing problems. And neither of them who had the opportunity to govern had any real problem when it comes to getting the votes to bring changes. We got some crappy laws that have been passed. I gave you two now. The Nationality Act in 73, the Bahamas Electricity Act in 2024. Because I've examined the evidence in both of them. But they are not following the act, what they're supposed to do when it comes to electricity. That's not happening. The lines are open 326-0271, 326-0272. Bahamians, it is time that you take your constitutional rights seriously. Otherwise, you can lose them. When you lose them, I lose mine too. Now, you know I can fight for that. I can fight to keep it. So I can't go to sleep, Bahamians. I have to work even harder now than ever before to get things done because a lot of work has to be done. So those of you who want to be candidates, the door is wide open. You can call the radio station, leave your name and number, and say, I want to get on the show. And then I'll talk with you. And we will bring you on and let you present your political platform. And there were some who wrongly accused me, say we didn't want anyone to come on. That's not so. We had a big meeting on this. And it was agreed that we would have the candidates come. So all you got to do is come in and make yourself known. See, if the people don't hear about you and what your platform is, they won't know. And radio is the best place to do it on. When you have a public meeting, you want to do something in your particular constituency, you come to Global. And we'll work that arrangement out for you. Because you got to get to your constituents. In your particular constituency, what are you going to do for them? In solving their... People want their problems solved. I've seen that over the past year. They want their problems solved. They want to find the right person to send to the House of Assembly. So you've got to put everything you've got out there so that people could see it. They could understand it. They'll know. Because some people believe you only got two options. That's not true. Those two right there in the house. See either this one or that one. That's out of foolishness or not. It may very well be because political parties have failed us so miserably over the last 52 years. We may very well have to revert to having strong, independent persons sitting in all 39 of those seats. Yeah, what I tell you, Bahamians? Because for 52 years, you've been struggling with the party concept, but yet all you got is a bunch of dregs. People just sitting in parliamentary seats, but not performing parliamentary functions. So we may very well have to find, and Bahamians, you got to dig deep for this now, persons who can represent you independently with your support. Remember now, the constituents support the candidate or support the representative. That's what you have to do. You don't leave him or her there by themselves. No. The constituents and the representative go hand in hand. But the representative ain't caring. The one you got now, not a problem. You can change that one, Bahamian. That's the beauty of Constitution. That's the beauty of the document of the parliamentary representation. But you don't keep jumping from this one, from the frying pan into the fire. You don't do that kind of foolishness. But we've been doing it for 52 years and don't know what's wrong with it. Then we got to stop that foolishness. Let's get serious now. And I'm counting on your support, Bahamian. Very strong support because I've got work to do and I can get it done. I want to see strong representation on the ground in these constituencies. And I want to see strong government. That's very important. This is Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Thank you very much for participating. And of course, tomorrow is Tuesday, I think. Yeah, we will have a special guest on tomorrow. This is Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Pray and ask God to help us, Bahamian. We need to save this country. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM.